Hannah is a multi-award winning professional portrait photographer with a passion for lights. She is a European ambassador for Sony Imaging and is a speaker and educator for Profoto. Today, she's here at Interfoto doing a workshop with the Profoto B10 and was kind enough to join our podcast. Welcome, Hannah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I have one question that I always ask people, which is the first question. Do you remember how you got into photography?
I do, actually, although it was all those years ago. So my kind of background is that I was always more artistic than I was necessarily academic. You asked me to do maths and physics, my brain shuts down.
Yeah, same.
And I think it's common with creative people, but when you're quite young, you don't really know that. You're kind of taught to do everything. And I was definitely stronger in the more artistic subjects at school, but I couldn't paint or draw, at all. And that's still true now. Yeah. So it was weird. It's one of those things I was kind of, sculpture was kind of good for me, but I was like, am I really going to have a career? I was like 15. Am I going to have a career in sculpture? Then there was a friend of mine, her dad sort of lent us this old SLR camera, and we just went out and shot a roll of film because she was kind of into it. And it was definitely a moment where I was like, oh my God, this is awesome, because this is a way that I can, it sounds like such a cliche to say, but it's like I could paint with light instead. I mean, it's such a cliche thing, but it was true. I was like, well, this is awesome because I can get all my creativity out, but at the same time, I don't have to paint or draw. So it was definitely one of those things where I was like, okay, well, I want to do that again. And I kept doing it again and again and again.
Yeah. It just made sense.
Yeah, it was like, oh my God, that's the thing that I was missing.
Yeah.
It's strange how that works, but... Yeah.
No, I noticed a lot of people have that kind of story as well. Like they pick up a camera and it just kind of makes sense to them to use it.
For me, it wasn't necessarily the first time I sort of picked it up. It was more seeing the results of it. Yeah. It was like when you got the film back, I was like, oh my God. Because I remember specifically sort of using a lower aperture, and I was like, oh my God, you can make it look 3D and you can do this. So it was actually it was kind of, because of course back then it was film, so you can't see what you're doing. So it was that when you get the film back, you're like, wow, this is what I wished I could paint or draw like this, but I knew I couldn't. So being able to do it in a photograph was like, that was the thing for me for sure, definitely.
Did you work a lot in dark rooms and stuff like that with analog photography or?
So, when I was at college, so that was it, because that was back in 1999, and digital cameras, they were far too expensive for any kind of education platform to have because they were brand new and all of that. So actually, I'm quite pleased that I learned on film, because I think it's sort of, and now the cameras are fantastic, they're wonderful, but they do an awful lot for you. There is nothing like blowing a whole roll of film to make you not make the same mistake twice. So actually, I was kind of grateful that I had this old mechanical bodied thing, and but what I don't miss is the darkroom. I don't miss that at all, man. The smell of those chemicals, and it's a great experience to have done it. But just that if you left it in the fixer or in the developer for a little bit too long, you've knackered the whole lot.
Exactly. There was so many things that could go wrong.
This is it. Yeah. The variables is,
exactly.
And I think certainly if you're doing it for business, a lot of my older friends that used to sort of shoot sports and things like that, when they were shooting on film, and the pressure, if you knew that you got that frame, but you've got to develop it and you've got to get it done and back out to the newspaper. Yeah. I wouldn't want, someone's wedding, imagine that. And then you cock the whole thing up.
And then that's it. Yeah.
No thanks. So I think having the variables is kind of like all those things that can go wrong. I'm quite glad that we don't have those as much anymore. Yeah. But it was fun to do and fun to learn on, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's something most photographers should play with once in a while, for sure. Just to get the mechanics of it, and just the fact that you can't see the image right away. Yes. You have to plan ahead a lot more.
That's so true. And actually, I think my shooting would actually be a lot more calm now. If I had to shoot a roll of film and you knew that you only had 24 frames, I think I would be a lot more controlled in the way that I do it. Now it's much more of a freestyle and a dialogue, and it's kind of going, I'm shooting as I'm going, but you don't have that luxury when you've got a specific number and you've got to calm, which I don't know, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it would be a good thing to calm it down a bit. Who knows?
Yeah, but it's you get discipline by doing that sometimes. Yeah. I do it sometimes when I travel. I only bring an analog camera.
Oh, really?
And those images are so much better usually than what I would get from a digital camera.
Interesting point.
Yeah.
And perhaps a fun exercise.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Maybe I'll dig out that camera again.
Yeah.
I've still got it, so I hope they still make film these days, which I know they do. But it's maybe I should do that. Oh, shoot, roll a film. God, take me back.
That's the only thing you bring as well. Like
right.
Nothing else.
No backup.
Yeah, no backup.
No
you
iPhone.
Have to plan. And 24 frames, so you have to plan every single one of them.
I'm going to take really, your challenge, Thomas.
Really think about every picture that you want to take.
Yeah.
So you don't want to waste a frame on this.
Okay. There's my new personal project.
Exactly.
Good.
That. That's fun.
I like that.
And when you got started as like a job, was that like your intention at the beginning, or was it just a hobby and it sort of like developed, or like explain that kind of process?
Yeah, so that was funny because kind of yes, because after 2 years of study, you know what it's like, you know, you go and studied something, you come out and obviously the intention is to find some kind of work.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting thing for me because at the same time, there wasn't, I understand it now being on the other side of it, it's not like you walk into a job. You know, there's not that many jobs, as it were, available for photographers. Yeah. It pretty much meant that it was self-employed straight away. But yeah, for sure. And it's still, and I still joke about it now, but I literally don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Crap at everything else. So I'm like, well, this is all I got, so I better make this work. So I really, it was definitely my intention to get to work straight away. And I did end up working for some other people for a while. But you realise that photography is so personal.
Yeah.
It's so personal. It's all about, especially portraiture as well, it's about the person, it's how you connect with your client, all those things that when you're working for other people and you're being set rules of do it this way, light it like this, do it like this. For someone like me, I guess, you know, it's sort of, that was only going to last so long.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
exactly.
There's definitely, it was always the intention. I just didn't think I would be self-employed from such a young age. I wasn't expecting that. But then you realise that if there's no jobs available, you might as well create your own or go and work somewhere else. And I wasn't going to do that.
And I can imagine you'd be like a bit naive as well.
Yes.
Like thinking about it.
Yeah.
But then like people tell you it's hard work and be like, no, I'll be okay. Don't worry about it. And and then all of a sudden you're like swamped with like all the business stuff as well.
Exactly. And actually, I always say that as a very good point because I started my first like high street studio when I was 22. Yeah. And I say, I'm so glad that I was so naive because, and when you're young, you've got the balls to do it. You're kind of like, yeah, I can do this. This is fine. What could possibly go wrong? Well, if you actually write it down and think about it, but when, you know, like you would never do it. And that's true to this day. You know, I think, and of course, the older you get, the more responsibilities you have. I'm sure there's, you know, people listening to this that have got, you know, families to support, mortgages to pay, all that kind of stuff. But I was 22 and able to do it and
eat noodles for dinner.
Exactly. Exactly that. So actually that naivety of going into business was actually a blessing back then. It was a good thing that I was just, I'm stubborn and determined, and those two things were kind of good. If you put naivety along with it, you're like, sure, this will be fine. It was like do or die. Yeah, that's how it went.
I've done that a couple of times as well. Like every 2 or 3 years, I sort of like evaluate my situation, where I'm at in life. If I want to go for something bigger, I think about what's the worst that can happen.
Exactly.
And like when you sort of like are established, the worst that can happen is that, you know, I just have to take money out of my savings or do a job that I, you know, like a corporate job or something like that. That's basically the worst that can happen. And I'm like, why not? Just go for it. It's fine. And I know I've been like low on money before, and I know I can do it again. Like it's fine. It's just for like a period of time. And that gives you motivation as well.
So true. And I even now, if I think about what I'm going to do next, the same as you, and I'm not very good. It's a good thing. I don't like sitting still for very long. It's a good thing. But I do the same thing. I think what is the worst that could happen? But also it's having that trust in yourself to go, I'm going to be okay. I trust myself to be in this position. And if all else goes wrong, I trust myself to get myself out of it again. So that, I think if you can have that sort of, even against all the odds, sometimes if you can have that self-belief that you're like, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
That's massive. And even if you're not sure at times, it's like, just, you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But I completely support that. I think that's a great idea to sort of stop and look where you are every few years.
Once in a while, yeah.
Is this still making me happy? Is this the thing that drives me every day or not?
Yeah.
If so, what's missing?
Exactly.
And then do something.
And it's like kind of like idea of success as well that I'm always like fascinated by. Like people have different ideas about what success is, right. I think.
Yes.
But I think it's very important. Like there's a Bob Dylan quote, and he says like, "You're a success if you wake up every day doing exactly what you want to do."
So true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have that freedom to do that, you should be satisfied with that.
Totally. I think there's so many times that especially in the last few years, I've been very lucky to be able to be in this. It's a lot of bloody hard work that's got me there. I forget that sometimes. I am terrible at looking back. I'm always over here looking forward. And sometimes everyone's like, you should look and see how far you've come. And occasionally, I probably should and go, remember that kid that was just hoping a customer was going to come in one day. Yeah. I should do that more often. But at the same time, I definitely have these moments where I'm able to sort of, be here, for instance, and go and do these things. And I've definitely had a couple of shoots where I've, been able to produce images that I've been really happy with. I've had a great time. And then I go, I got paid for that.
Exactly,
it's great. That's such a great thing. And I think about it and think, even if it's a bad day, even if it's something where I think, okay, I'm not really excited about this job, I don't really want to do this. I'm like, Hannah, what else would you be doing today?
Exactly.
And all these people that, have this Sunday night, like blues, this sort of, dreading going to work on a Monday morning. I'm like, you're so lucky that you don't have that.
Yeah.
Like, I know we worked ourselves into this position, but still there's nothing wrong with stopping occasionally and going, do you know what? We're pretty bloody lucky to be where we are.
Absolutely. 100%.
Doing what we're doing. And I agree with that. I think that, no amount of whatever it is, whether it's money, clients, likes, whatever it is that drive people, to what they think is success. I completely agree with that quote. It is, do you have everything that you want in terms of not necessarily materialistic things either, but is it that you are waking up every day going, this is cool. Yeah. This is fun.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Because, life is just, it's about having fun.
Exactly.
Really.
Yeah.
It's like,
100%.
You're born, have fun, die. Yeah. That's it, really, for me. So and the rest of it is like, fill it with the fun stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I have that sort of goal as well. Like the definition of success is just if you have fun every day or as many days as possible.
Exactly.
You're fine. Just smile and be happy with it.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
At the beginning though, like, there's a lot of like talk about like working on, especially in photography and creative business. So like a lot of people have to work on spec and work for free and stuff like that at the beginning, work for credit. Do you have like an opinion about that? So like debate about when you should work for free or when you shouldn't?
Well, I still work for free if I want to. Yeah, the thing is here's the thing. I don't really get caught up too much in what everybody else thinks, says and does, because I think, unfortunately, I think in our industry, there can be a lot of negativity and a lot of it is born out of insecurity. You'll see people a lot of the time, rather than just if there's an image that they don't like necessarily and just sort of scrolling on by, they'll stop and they'll shit talk about it for a while because it's kind of like, well, this person's got success and I haven't, so I'm going to put them down. And I'm just like, dude, just scroll on past. Concentrate on yourself. All that energy you're putting in there, bring it back to yourself and stop looking and worrying about what everyone else says, thinks, and does. If you put that energy into yourself, you're going to be 10 steps ahead anyway. So when it comes to this whole working for free thing, to a degree, so let's face it, if you're working for free, it's only because you're not anyone else, you're not confident enough to charge for your services. Yeah. You can't blame people for working for free because it's not that they don't want to. Because if I said to you, hey, Thomas, right, you got this job today, I can pay you £200 for it, or you can do it for free. It's up to you. It's your choice. Well, you're going to go, well, I'll take the £200, thanks. Yeah. So no one is doing it because they are deliberately trying to sabotage somebody else's business or something like that. They're doing it because they don't feel confident enough to get paid. So I'm not, it's not like, I really don't think there's this whole sort of underworld of people trying to shoot each other down. Maybe there is that I'm not aware of. I don't know. But initially, it's up to you. There's definitely times where I will do shoots because I want to. And someone asked me to do something, or I'm probably a crap businesswoman as well because I have too much empathy. Sometimes I'm like, I can't charge someone for this. So there's a couple of occasions where it's my choice to go, I don't want to charge for this. Someone's not well or something like that. I'm like, no, that's my way of giving something back.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the start, people just probably work for free because they if you want to build your portfolio, let's talk about that. If you want to try new things, test stuff out, and get some images for your portfolio, it's right that you do that not on a paying customer. It's right that you do that in your own time, experiment, because if you try those things out during a session where it's being paid for by a client and you're like, hey, here's all these images, they're like, great, thanks, but that's not what we asked for. Yeah. You're not going to get hired again. So why don't you just do it for yourself, get a bunch of people together? But there's definitely, I've got relationships with people and models who, we work all together and it's of mutual benefit. So I think as long as you're in a position where everybody's at the same level, as it were, so everybody's collectively have some benefit out of it. The last thing you want to do is work for free and there's somebody sitting over there making a lot of money out of that somewhere. Yeah. That's where I think, no. Yeah. It's not cool. But yeah, I mean, it's the point is that you're your own boss. If you're a freelancer, it's your decision. There's no one that should say to you, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't work for free, you should charge this much. Who cares? Who cares about them? It's your job, it's your life. You do what you want. Yeah. How many noodles do you want this month? Like it's up to you. Like I'm really not into the whole setting things of what you should or shouldn't do and dictating to other people about that. I think just do whatever feels right. And ultimately, I think it's the lack of confidence which is the reason that people aren't charging perhaps what they want to be charging or are doing it for free. It's a lack of confidence, and that comes over time and practice. So once they feel better about their images, perhaps they will be charging. Yeah. So I don't think it's a deliberate sabotage or anything like that.
No, that's true. That's a good answer. I like that. Yeah, I think that's true as well. And like you said at the beginning, it's very hard because like most other jobs, you always get paid like an hourly rate. It's like, this is what your time is worth here. Yeah. But when it's just specifically with photography, you have to decide that yourself. And like you said, you have to be like a salesperson as well. You have to know the business side of it to know how much you're going to charge. Right. And then you have to like stand your ground as well when clients, which happens almost every time, I can imagine.
Oh, for sure. I had an email this week.
Yeah, they want it cheaper.
Yeah, of course.
And they're like, well, you have to like stand your ground on that.
Exactly.
And that's difficult at the beginning, especially when you don't have anything to compare it to. Like, it's very hard. Like, I struggle with that at the beginning as well. People ask me, it's like, how much do you take? I was like, I don't.
What are you giving me?
Yeah, whatever you can give me.
Yeah, it is tough because I think it's the last thing I had actually a really nice piece of advice when I was younger. Someone said to me, they were like, well, here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to be known as the cheap photographer. Yeah. And that's true. So, and as much as it takes you to be brave and perhaps charge more, it's a case of, okay, at the start, it's like you have to qualify yourself and your business. So I'm trying to think, I'm not sure if this is going to translate, but are you, say, for instance, a fast food burger chain, or are you a high-end restaurant? Exactly, like, which one are you? Are you going to do high volume at a cheaper rate, or are you going to be exclusive and charge a fortune and do one job a month? Like, that's down to you and your work ethic and what you want to do. And, one is not right, one is not wrong. But it's up to you as to where you want to be and how hard you want to work. So when people say to me, how much shall I charge? I'm like, well, how much do you want to earn? So as kind of a formula that I use for that is like, take a figure that you want to earn over the year. So let's say it's a certain amount of money that you go, I want to earn, I don't know, 50,000 a year, something like that. Break that down over the months, so it's 12 months, and then break that down into realistically how many weeks are you going to be working with holidays, Christmas, all those kinds of things, and then break that down into the working week. How many days a week are you going to work? Divide that all up. There's your day rate.
That's it.
Divide it down into hours. Yeah. Are you going to do one job a day or 5? It's up to you.
It's up to you.
So I think it's kind of like, sometimes it's very hard to forget the business side of things and just sort of go, well, I'll just do this or whatever. But it's finding the confidence also. I had just this week, I had an email come in oh, I would like some corporate headshots. Okay, here's my rates. Like, it was several rates or several packages, depending on what they want.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted more images, but I only have a small budget. And I was like, that's no problem. And I just said to her very kindly, I was like, it seems like perhaps I'm not the right photographer for you, but I wish you luck, and yeah, I hope you get it done. Because I'm like, I'm not going to lower my rate for one person, because that sets a precedent. If she then recommends to other people, I had all these images and it cost me this amount, then you've set yourself a trap. So there's that thing too. So it's having, trust me, I know it's hard. It's not like, if people are watching and thinking, it's all easy for you to say this, Hannah, and you've been doing this for a long time. I had to do it at the start as well. You have to say at some point, this is what it costs, and okay, accept the fact that, and believe that there will be another job coming where they will pay you that.
I struggled with that a lot at the beginning when I started working with film, like just to say no when it came to that, because it was either that or nothing. But then I fell into that trap as well. Like, people associated me with the person who did it for less than everyone else.
Oh, that's the worst.
I struggled a lot to get over that.
Yeah.
Like to move on from that.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to corporate stuff, events and stuff like that. Like, they always associate you with the guy who just does it for less than the other guys.
Yeah, see, that's such a dangerous trap.
It's very dangerous, to get into that, because then you eat noodles for dinner every day.
Right. And also, when they come back to you for their next event, let's say you did the job for them at the start, and then 2 years, 3 years down the line, they have another event and your prices have doubled. Yeah. Or something like that. They're like, oh, well, suddenly he's not the cheap guy anymore. Wow, what's this? And
you always think as well, you might want to get your foot in the door with the company to get make a commercial, for instance, but then they don't associate you with the guy who makes big productions.
Right.
They associate with you with the guy who just walks around filming with a camera.
Exactly.
So you kind of lose that as well.
Yeah, I think exactly, and it is extremely tough. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know it's very, very difficult, especially if it's not in your personality type to sort of find your worth. I know that's a very difficult thing.
Absolutely.
And I think, unfortunately for us as well, is that perhaps in creative industries, it is a little more difficult, because you're not you are creating something, but you're creating something using tools that are common for everybody. So everyone has a camera, everybody has this, everyone has that. However, you are a specialist in what you do. And I think sometimes it's harder to attach the value to that. But if you have clients like that don't appreciate your value, don't appreciate the value in photography or videography, whatever it is that you're doing, ditch them, they'll be a better client for you.
Exactly.
That's hard. I know it's hard, but if you can keep the faith, and just because, like you say, otherwise you will be the cheap photographer.
You will, yeah.
For the rest of your days, and no one wants that.
And speaking of that, saying no to work, that can be difficult sometimes. But what is it what kind of things do you say yes to? Because you do a lot of corporate stuff, like portraits, stuff like that. How? Just walk through the process of someone who might have their first request for a job, for example. So
it really comes down to, so it was interesting because as I say, I started my first business when I was 22. I had to photograph everything because, of course, I had a business, I had a shop, I had staff, I had all of these things that, you can't be perhaps as selective then, because then it's not just you that needs to get paid. I've now got to pay the staff, I've got to pay the rent, I've got to pay, all these other things too. So it's that then I think you do fall into the trap of you do have to take on things that you don't necessarily want to do as much. That said, at the start of the year, I realised I dropped family portraits. It was something where I was like, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. I've been shooting them for years. And actually what happened is I was like, why do I not like doing this? What's the deal? Especially if you're in a situation where, sometimes, don't get me wrong, I was earning very good money doing it. It seemed to be something that I could do quite naturally and earning good money at.
Just on autopilot.
Yeah. But then the trouble is, autopilot will rot your soul. And I realised what was happening is that my passion is lighting, and what I'm having to do here is just set up a big white box of bounce light everywhere and just hope for the best. It's nothing to do with photography anymore. It was just taming children to be in the right place at the right time, all looking at the camera. And then I would make some money from it. And I'm like, this is not using my skills. This is not and then it got to the point where I was waking up on Saturdays were my busiest day. So the end of the week for me, as it were, because I would have to work Saturdays rather than a Monday to Friday. I would get to Saturday, it's the end of the week anyway, and then it was my busiest day doing family portraits. I would drive to work, and that's when I got that sinking feeling, probably is that like Sunday night thing for everyone else. I did not want to do it. I was like, I do not want to do this today. I really don't want to do this. And still, that's when I had to have that reminder to myself that you could be doing far worse things.
Exactly, yeah.
However, I was like, okay, there has to be a point where I have to cut this off, because it's actually now changing it around that I'm disliking photography in general. This is making me not want to go to work at all, because I was mixing it all in together and just throwing it all into the same pot. So I said at the start of the year, I'll eat noodles this year, but I'm going to cut this off because I cannot do this anymore. It's taken like 13 years of doing it. It's just taken enough of my energy. Exactly. I'm done with this. And as it goes, I'm not having to eat noodles. It's okay.
Yeah, it's fun,
so it's good. But I think, it's definitely, there are some things now, which even though I still get the inquiries to do it, I have to say, thank you, but I've stopped doing this at the start of the year. If it's a corporate job or something else, something different, I'll find out what is it that they want. What are they looking for? Try and ask as many questions as possible, get specific details. Then I think, all right, so do I want to do this? Even if I don't really, I think let's do it for the money. Because, we all need to eat and we all need to pay the rent on the studio. So I'm like, okay, well, what is this? And then sometimes there's been jobs where I've really not wanted to do them and I've charged a lot of money and then just thought, well, hopefully they'll go, thanks, but no. And then they'll go, thank you, we'll take it. And then I go, all right, fine. At least I'm getting paid for this. This is fine. This is what I have to accept. But my process is just very much kind of like get an inquiry, find out the details, find out what it's for. But there's not, I try to accommodate and try a lot of different things, because sometimes even when you think a job sounds terrible, it might turn out to be pretty good. Exactly. Or you meet someone on that job and that turns out to be a good connection. There's not, apart from the family portraits thing, there's not an awful lot where it's just weddings. Weddings is a flat no as well.
I don't do weddings either. I don't do weddings either. And I have a very good reason for it. And it's because I think wedding photography is such its own field of photography.
Right.
And I haven't done a wedding before. And I wouldn't call myself, I have so much respect for people who do weddings that I can't call myself a wedding photographer.
Yeah.
So every time I get asked, and it happens at the beginning of each summer, someone else say, and I say I don't do weddings. You need a wedding photographer.
So true.
I'm a photographer. I'm not a wedding photographer.
Right.
But here's a list of 5 people who will take so much better pictures than me.
That's exactly what I say. Yeah. Because there are some people that genuinely love it. I mean, hats off to those people, by the way. Credit to them, because that's a whole 100%. Set of skills that I don't have. Amazing. But good for them. But I think if I was getting married, I would think I would want someone there that loved their job, loved what they were doing. Not me stood there going, oh, can I go yet?
Yeah.
You want someone there that's got passion and enthusiasm. And I do my best throughout my career to do that, to think when the passion goes, kill it. Yeah. Because then it will show in your work. Yeah. So I do my best to try and do that.
I've done that now with event photography.
Have you? You killed it off?
Killed it off.
Right. What was it?
I did one that was like you said, I doubled my rates.
Yeah.
Just to see.
Yep.
Because I needed a paycheck.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they said yes.
Right.
It was like, we got 2 events this month.
So you're like,
and I was like,
okay.
And then I was at the end of the month, I was just looking forward to that end of the month.
Right.
Because when the event came up, the day, I was just like, I really don't want to be doing this.
Affects you even physically, right? You're kind of like, your energy stomach, goes. Yeah, exactly.
All right, I just counting down the seconds until I could leave.
Right.
And then whenever, I wasn't happy with the video I gave them either, but they were happy about it. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done. So send the invoice in, then I'm done. That's
fine. That's the thing. Exactly. And we all know we have to do jobs like that occasionally.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
But what was it about events for you what is it that rots your soul about events? What is it?
It's the whole thing about I went to film school and I want to make films.
Yeah.
And like I don't want to be associated as like the event photographer either.
Yeah.
I want to like go out and make like proper production that's planned ahead, and you have like an image, creative image in your mind, like a story you want to tell, all that kind of stuff. And I want to use my time doing that.
Yes.
Instead of doing like the sort of like just documenting whatever happens.
Right. Yeah.
And think about like all the sponsors, and it's very like.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And it's all the same as well.
Interesting. Yeah, it fascinates me. I knew nothing about video whatsoever.
Yeah.
And, it's, I think, it's weird because you realise that so much more goes into it. And I think that's a whole separate skill. I know lots of people can transition, and it's an easy transition to go from photography to videography. To a degree, maybe, but I still think you've got to have it in you to be able to know what you want to create at the start. Like, so I'm imagining you storyboard and things like that, and the feeling of it, and the music, and all these things that you're going to put into it, the lighting.
Completely different thing,
that's a whole, because I very much turn up, and my process is that I start working with someone and I kind of change my mind on the job. I do what suits the person, and I'm like, I'll see what works for this person.
Yeah.
But I guess for you, it's got to be laid out before you even start.
Oh, yeah. So much planning ahead. Yeah. And like the script and like your intent with the story that you want to tell and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to spend my time doing, like eventually.
Right.
And then, like I said, I want to wake up every day being happy about what I'm going to do.
Yes.
And like I said, it was just that feeling in my stomach that was like, I don't want to spend my time doing this.
No,
so it's just counting down, and then that's it. I got asked to take pictures at a party in about 3 weeks, like a Christmas party.
Yeah.
And I was just like, nah.
So it already makes me shudder.
Yeah, exactly. And just like, a bunch of drunk people, stuff like that. Right. And I don't really like going out like that anymore either. I know. I'm just done with
you're getting home, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. When I was 22, it was fun. Like when I was at film school, we filmed all the events going on at the uni. And that was so much
fun. Great fun. Yeah.
You got in for free. You got free drinks, all that stuff. It was
the things you want at that age.
Yeah,
exactly.
It was so much fun. But now it's just like I say, it's almost like, it was almost 10 years later, and I want to still keep doing it.
No, exactly.
I want to move on to that sort of like image of people have of me.
And it's very smart to do so and to recognize that as well. But I think it sounds to me like, and it sounds almost like, it sounds like an arrogant thing to say, but it was the same with me kind of lighting a white box and, waving things at babies. It's like you, with doing the events, it sounds like your skills can exceed what you're being asked to do. Exactly. And when you're not using those skills on a frequent basis, how can you improve for yourself? How are you exercising to kind of build up that portfolio and your creativity if you're just being asked to turn up and photograph drunk people at Christmas parties or film this event or whatever and make sure the sponsors are in? Like, as you say, it's not, exactly. As you say that, I'm kind of like, wow, that I totally hear you on that one. I can see.
And you always get that sort of like, especially when you're so like just documenting an event. Nothing's planned ahead, so you have to like think about everything that you film, and you have to film all the people that are there and stuff like that. And there's always like a comment that you get after you've hand the film over. They'll be like, "Oh, do you have an image of this?"
Oh, we always joke about this in wedding photography. It's like,
because you can't show them whilst you're doing it.
No.
Like, you're not in like a controlled studio or something like that. You're just like running around trying to capture everything that's happening. And there's whatever you like, however you film, however good you do it, there's always that one small comment.
And there's definitely,
did you get this guy laughing at the speech that was held?
And also, did you ask me to get that guy?
Yeah.
So I think that happens a lot as well, is that people expect you to, and this even happens with corporate jobs. They send me a message and they'll be like, "Oh, did you get, or is there any more shots of John?" And I'm like, I don't know who John is. I just photographed 80 people, like, because they know this so well, and they are like, oh, you must know that when this person makes a speech, then that you need to capture this person laughing. They forget to give you that information, but they'll be quick to ask you afterwards if you got it.
And it's always afterwards.
Yeah,
it's always that thing. They don't know what they want until they see what they don't want.
So true. That is so true, and I think that's probably what definitely sort of repels me when it comes to sort of those kinds of events that happen once. And I still have this fear of like, imagine if you shot a wedding. I know we've got dual card slots and things like that now, but imagine missing the moment and like, oh my God, I couldn't live with myself. Turn around to the bride, no, I'm sorry, I missed it all. Missed focus. I focused on the vicar. Oh my God, it would be the worst. I couldn't do it. But I mean, salute to the people that do, because they do an amazing job, and way better than it sounds like you or I could do it. So good for them, because they make the industry go round. So.
I still get that feeling though when I send like a video off to like a client. Like however like happy I know they're going to be about it, I still get that feeling. It's like, what if they don't like it?
I think that's I know what you mean, because I think it's that feeling that it's because there's a bit of you in it. Yeah, it's a bit exposing to you, because this is your creation, your vision. It's almost like we see the world through. I mean, I'm getting a bit cheesy and deep now, but like it's kind of like we're seeing this as you see it, and so it's almost a bit exposing. You're kind of like, putting this out here, and there's a bit of me in it. I've always found that a fascinating thing. It took me a while to establish that when taking portraits of other people as well, is that I heard a quote once, and it was saying you can always tell how good the photographer is based on the expression of the sitter. Right. And I was like, actually, that's a good point, because it still fascinates me to this day. I can run a workshop, same model, same light. I've set the light up even at times. Same everything, same environment. And you look at the images afterwards, they're all so different. Yeah. They're so different, because there is so much of us in our work that we don't really think about it. So if you lined up 10 photographers and just put them in front of the same models, same backdrop, same light, everything else, the pictures would still be night and day different.
Exactly.
That's something to celebrate. That's something to own. When it gets in a competitive marketplace and everyone thinks, there's no room for all of us. There is, because no one's going to see it the way you see it. If you and I go and make a video of the same thing, it's going to be completely different. So although it's a bit, I do get that feeling of like, are they going to like it? It's like kind of, I guess, a sense of approval, but also it's the fact that it's you created that. So there is definitely, I can see how you probably still get that little bit of, but that's good.
Yeah, I think it's good, because like it shows that you care as well.
Exactly.
It shows that you want to make like a good impression. You want them to like it.
For sure, because if you sat there and was just kind of like, all right, next, whatever, then, that will definitely come across to the client at some point, I'm sure. Yeah, exactly. So it's no bad thing.
We're going to talk a little about how because I've done like, corporate headshots and stuff like that as well. And there's such a huge difference working with models and non-models, like just normal people. Like talk a little about how you work with people who are not used to being in front of the camera, because there's such a difference there.
Definitely, for sure. And the thing is, I would even say 97% of my work is actually photographing people that have never been in front of the camera before, or are there under duress. The company has said, you've got to have your headshot done today.
And they don't want to be there,
fear. And it's night and day different. So, I mean, actually, weirdly, the only times I ever work with models are when I'm doing a workshop or something. Right. And even then, it depends what the talk's about, because even then, sometimes I don't want a model, because there's someone that's already practiced and rehearsed, and I want someone that's going to sit in the chair, or like, kind of, and I can talk them out of what, talk them through what we need to do. So the thing is, to begin with, I think as long as you are sensitive to the fact that everybody's petrified, like literally everyone is petrified. It's very rare that even if you get someone that comes and sits down and, does all this, that's still probably bravado covering up for the fact that they're actually shit scared. Yeah. So actually, I think it's one thing to think to begin with, that nerves come out in different ways as well. Sometimes people can be incredibly, kind of arrogant, or, kind of, I'm here for my headshot, and I'll kind of give you the attitude to begin with. It's just fear. And I think one thing that's quite important is to change the way that you deal with people based on what they give you. So it's almost like if you've got someone that's incredibly shy, I change the way that I speak, almost. I'm still being myself, but I'll just say to them, I'll be like, okay, I was like, all right, don't worry, the responsibility's on me. I take it away from them. I say to them, it's my job that you leave here with a good headshot. So you haven't got to worry about a thing. It's all on me. I'm the one that's I'd make a joke of it and take the responsibility. And then I'll say to them, okay, so what we're going to do, I'll explain the process at the start. I'll say what we're, not them, we're going to do is I'm going to get you to stand like this, and we'll try this, we'll try that, see what suits you, we'll turn you around the other way, maybe try a few things, but it's on me, I got this, and I'll make sure, I'll guarantee you're not going to leave here. I'm going to let you see them all as well, so you can choose if you're really worried, and if there's something you're not happy with, we'll do it again, it's no problem. So I try and take that, that kind of fear that they have, because literally I've had people coming in that are shaking, like literally shaking, red in the face, everything else, terrified. So the language is very much kind of like, we're going to do this together. I then have the opposite. If I've got somebody that's alpha male or female, I meet them with alpha female me. So it's very much like you match them. So if someone comes in and they're like, okay, what do I do? I'm like, okay, you're going to do this, I take charge. Exactly. And I'm very much, I get quite bossy in a way. I'm like, okay, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to get you to do this. You're going to look at me, do this, follow my direction, you'll be fine. And it's kind of like very different language, very different. But they respond to it. That's the thing. It's used to, even the people that are high up, and they're like, oh, how do you cope with people that are very important? I'm like, the same as people that are the cleaner. You treat them the same, but your language might change based on their personality.
Exactly.
So it's very much, I take the responsibility. And even there might be people listening where they're just like, oh, but what if you don't really know what you're doing? Just fake it.
Fake it, yeah.
Blag it. Just, 100%, exactly. Yeah. Just be like, right. And even if you've taken a shot and it looks crap in the camera, just be like, yeah, it's great. It's perfect. It's fine. Yeah. Carry on. Just positive,
exactly.
Oh, yeah. Keep going.
Positive energy is very important.
Absolutely. And because ultimately, when they're sat there, they feel very exposed. They feel like, oh my God, this is going to be awful. They've got in their head, it's all going to be terrible. So if you take control and take responsibility and you're just feeding them with, yeah, this is great, it's going to be fine, no problem, I've got this, it's no problem. At least you're taking it off of them. Yeah. And even if you're going, this is going terrible, just keep going. You'll get there eventually. It's so for me, it's one of those things where I'm like, you have a whole mixture of people and I just match their personality type, like with their, you kind of can, I think the biggest skill in portraiture is reading people and reading through bullshit as well, because some people will come in and give you that kind of arrogance and, this whole front. And I'm like, I can see actually that this is just that you're absolutely terrified right now. So you need instruction. Yeah. That's what you need. You're giving me attitude, but I'm going to give you some instruction and some clear direction. So it's just a case of reading each person as best as you can and just being clear and precise in what you want them to do and getting on with it. Yeah. Not wasting time. Get on with it and let them go. But for the people that are really nervous, it's like, it's okay. Oh, I get to see them. Oh, okay. So it's kind of like, the pressure's off them a little bit. Exactly, I guess. Yeah.
And I notice like sometimes as well, like with people who are a bit nervous as well, you take one good picture of them and you show that to them. They'll be like, oh, cool.
Yeah,
done.
Exactly.
Okay, this is going to be amazing.
Then you can't stop it.
Then they're way into it. They love it then. Yeah, all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's true. It's true because their worst fear is that, and you think about this as well. Half the time, all of us that think we look terrible in a picture, it's most of the time they're not under good light. Yeah. It hasn't been taken by a professional. So in their head, they've just seen photos that other people have taken, and probably at times, angles and lighting and things, probably they don't look their best. So you show them a shot where, a couple of things have come right for them. That's actually one of the things that I love the most. Yeah. Is when you get the clients that are so nervous, convinced you are not going to get a good photo of them, no chance, no way. You can change someone's their whole self-esteem. Oh yeah, 100%. It's weird. It goes beyond the photograph almost. Yeah. It's bizarre. So actually, I love a nervous client. Yeah. It's brilliant because you have the ability, us as photographers, we have the ability to change the way people see themselves and feel about themselves. Because a good photo of you can give you a good confidence boost. Absolutely. A bad one can destroy you. Yeah. And in this day and age where there's photos everywhere of people and everyone's so obsessed with the way that they look, a little boost maybe isn't such a bad thing.
No, and I think that's important as well. Like you said, positive energy. And I remember I did a shoot once. I can't remember who it was, but it was I was taking pictures of a girl for headshots, and she had the most amazing smile. And we got her to smile in one picture, and I looked at her. I was like, I said it straight to her. It's like, you have the most amazing smile. And you can tell that she'd never been told that before. Oh, really? Did she hate it, though? No, I showed it to her, and she was like, she didn't even know. Oh, you know what I mean? Because no one was, like taking pictures of her that in that setting
In that
before.
way, yeah.
Like you
That's
said,
so
she's never
interesting.
been in a professional setting before.
Right.
And never had anyone like notice that aspect of her.
There you go.
And you can just see like she all of a sudden she loved like being there and just being taken pictures of. And
Of course. I mean, the thing is, I think as well, unfortunately, I'm I don't have a filter, but it's I say what I mean as well. I think a lot of people now don't. We're not so good with the compliments. You know, people are very quick to criticize other people, tear them down, and, you know, pick out all the faults and everything else. I don't want to be that person. You know, like, it gives me the right anyway. I don't want to be that person. I want to be the person that, you know, is making someone feel better about themselves. And I absolutely believe that everyone, this is probably me sounding really arrogant, but I think I can get a photo that every single person will be happy with.
Yeah.
Because I will work my arse off to make sure I get it, because I'll see something, and how you see other people is so different to how they see themselves.
Yeah.
And that can be for good or bad, but it's not like you have to be superficially beautiful and have all the things in the right places. People have got character, people have got personality. That makes people attractive. Yeah, it's not a case of, you know, you could have teeth missing and whatever else, and, you know, aesthetically be like, well, you know, not a beautiful person. Like, you can make someone a beautiful person, because if they're cracking up laughing in that photo and they've got something in their face, in their character, you're drawn to that person. So that's what I mean when I say, I don't care who you put in front of me. I will do my best to get something out of them. It's not like all the things have to be in the right places, otherwise it's not going to work. That's why I don't like working with models as well. Because to a degree, they're doing half the work for you. Of course they're beautiful. They're beautiful on an iPhone. They're beautiful in bad light. You know, but give me a real person, and there's no offense to models, by the way. They are wonderful and we love them. But like, give me a normal person off the street, and I love that challenge.
And I've seen you done that a couple of times. Like, you have images of that where you said the backstory was the fact that you just saw them and you had to take a picture of them.
Yeah,
people get surprised by that usually, or they're kind of like, yeah, I know. Or
I know.
Like, you have to talk them into it, I guess. Sometimes.
Yes, it is true. It's funny because I've had some interesting comments here, and I do understand this, because a lot of men have said to me, they're kind of like, you can't do that as a man. I'm like, you can, just don't be a creep.
Yeah.
Like, there's ways of saying things. Like, because I could be a creep as well. Any of us can. I understand the fact that if I walk up to a woman and say to her, like, yeah, I'd really love to photograph you, but what's the difference if I walk up to a guy and say, you know, oh, you look fantastic? That's me being a creep. It doesn't work one way. You know, it's for all of us. But it's how you say it. And I generally say to people, I'm like, okay, I've done it. I think the most random place I've ever done it is at a petrol station. So I'm fueling my car, and there's this girl opposite me, and she had the coolest hair. She had all these braids, and they were kind of all up, and I was like, oh my God, wow, she looks cool. And then for a second, I'm like, she looks really cool. I'm like, oh, she's got an awesome profile. So all these things are going on in my head when I'm filling my car. And same as what we said before, what's the worst that can happen? Yeah. So went inside to pay, and I'm like, no, I'm going to ask her. And so I just said to her, I was like, look, this is going to sound really weird, but I say to her, I'm a professional photographer. I photograph people all day long. I think it'd be really cool to photograph. Now, I'm going to give you my card, or this is me. Go and, if you want to come in for a session one day, this is on me. It's something that I want to do. I'm not trying to sell to you. I just think that you'd be awesome to photograph for my style of how I do things. So here's me. Let me know if you want to be in touch. So I don't like give me your number or anything like that. Yeah, I don't do that. Exactly. I give them the ability to contact me, and then it's the ball's in their court. Yeah, it's up to them, and it's how you say it. But if I went up to someone and be like, "Oh my God, you're so totally gorgeous. I would love to photograph you. I mean, your eyes are amazing, and your smile and your skin," you'd be like, "All right, back off." Yeah. So it's kind of it's how you heard
those kind of stories as well. Of creeps doing that,
right?
Like using photography.
Oh, we all know about that. Yeah, exactly. That's a whole different thing that we can open. Exactly. But just, if you most people are going to be flattered. Yeah. The majority of people, and half the time, the people that I want to photograph are people that probably don't see themselves that way as well. Exactly, they don't think of themselves. They're not the Instagram models and the people, they know that they're good looking or whatever it is. It's people that are interesting to me. Yeah. There's something about them. I'm just like, right, I'm going to ask them. And actually, I mean, touch wood, like, no one said no.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
No one has said no, which has been awesome.
Wow.
But I think, and I'm just lucky. I mean, there will, no doubt in the future, there'll be plenty of people that will say no. But I think it's, and sometimes it'll be a while. It's not like they'll contact you the next day or the same day. They'll sit on it for a while, and as they should, do their research into you as well, find out who you are, what you know. And that's another thing that while we're talking about this, put a picture of yourself up on your website.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, or, you know, if someone's trying to find you, how can we sit here and say to people, it's so important to have a good photo of yourself to represent your brand and everything else? And the amount of photographers that I go to their website, there's no picture of them. Like, if I'm going to go and put all my trust into you to take, because it's a big thing for me to have my headshot done. So if I'm coming to you, I want to go, yeah, I think I look like I can trust this guy. Yeah,
exactly.
Just something. If there's no picture of you, I'm like, but why? It makes me go, why? I'm like, well, why? Why are you hiding from me? But you're telling me that I have to have this picture. It doesn't make sense in my head.
Yeah.
So I think that they can, you know, go and my headshot. My headshot ain't cool, but I'm not cool. So I'm just normal, and I'm smiling. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
You know, my body language is open, because that's what people are going to get when they see me. If I have some artsy headshot that's half lit and, you know, retouched to buggery and no one's going to recognize me, that doesn't say to my client I look very approachable.
No.
And if I'm trying to be cool, I mean, that's going to fail immediately. I'm the least cool person there is. But it's just a case of being true to yourself and just, you know, just don't be afraid. Be yourself, put your picture up. It's the worst that can happen. Someone goes, okay, you look like a creep. I'll go somewhere else.
But I've noticed, like, a lot of photographers are actually the people who are most shy in front of the camera as well, sometimes.
That is absolutely true.
Which is very weird, I think. Like, I was that at the beginning as well, but it's sort of, like, died out a bit now. But I hate being, like, directed. Oh. Like being, like, treated as a model, kind of.
Do you?
Oh, yeah, I don't like it at all.
Really?
I have no idea what to do.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So if you... Hang on, that's interesting. So if I was to direct you, you wouldn't like it because...
I don't know. It's just, like, it's, like, a weird position to be in.
You don't trust me.
I can direct someone else. That's fine. But like you said, like, when that table's turn...
Control.
I don't know, yeah.
You're a control freak.
Exactly.
In a good way. Yeah, it's a good thing.
But I do it sometimes, though, just to get the feeling of how it is.
Yeah, it's really
important. And then I
important.
say that to people when I film people who are not used to being filmed. Yeah. I can say to them, it's like, I know exactly what it's like.
Yeah,
and
totally.
don't worry, we'll get through this.
This is the thing. Actually, you know, so right now, there's 3 cameras pointing at us. Yeah. So I know when, and I'm sure you do, if we look at these, we're not going to be like, oh, wow, I look amazing from all of these 3 angles. We're going to go straight to the things, go, oh, my God, is that how I look? You know, that's what we do. Yeah. That's exactly what we do. And I started to, there was 2 things. I started to do sort of daily Instagram stories because 2 reasons. I wanted to get better at delivering, when I was on camera, delivering it in one take, because I would fumble my words, I'd overthink it and go crazy. And then the other thing was to desensitize myself from just and seeing and accepting that, yep, Hannah, that's your face. That's what you look like. And that's what you sound like. You can't change it. That's it. And actually, it's better. So now, as much as I'm going to, you know, you look at a photo of yourself, you look at video of yourself, and every part of you probably wants to die inside for the first 5 minutes. You just kind of, in the end, it's like... I'd rather be genuine. Yeah, I'm not perfect. Why am I supposed to be perfect? Yeah. I'm a photographer. I'm not a model. Like, I'm here to speak to you. It doesn't really, it's what comes out of my mouth that matters, not how I look.
Exactly.
But that's you have to have that's a conscious thing that you have to say to yourself, because your initial instinct is, oh shit, I look awful. Yeah. That's how it is. Yeah. But for you to put yourself in the position of the sitter and to have your own photo taken or to be filmed, if you're great at directing people and you're filming the whole time, for you to do a little bit on camera occasionally, I bet you still mix your words up and are like, sweat a little bit.
All the time. Like, we just did intro now and I failed twice. Well, so it's like, you know, it happens all the time, but you just have to accept it. Yeah.
That's it.
I do, like, when I work here, I film a lot, but I do it myself.
Right.
But when I have, like, if I have, like, 5 people behind the camera, I feel bad for wasting their time when I mess up the lines.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I really do understand that because I've been in that situation
it's completely normal.
Yeah, this is it. And I think that's when it comes down to the director and who you're working with, because if they give you that feeling that, stop, cut, everyone reset, all of this, you're like, oh my God. Yeah, but if you've got someone that's like, no, man, keep rolling, keep rolling, keep going, it's fine. So that, I think, is this. I mean, I've worked with many people when it comes to that. And there are some people that that stand out in my head that I almost, without wanting to be a diva, I hope or I request that I can work with them, because I know that they let me keep going, and I know I'm going to make mistakes, but I don't feel the pressure to have. It's like, okay, if I cock this up, then we just carry on the way that they are with me and how they direct me. And I suppose that's the same if finding a photographer.
Yeah.
If you find a photographer that gives you the equivalent and you feel comfortable,
you gain that trust as well.
That's what it comes down to. But I totally get it. I remember when I did the Profoto Academy, this was all under non-disclosure agreement, and I had to have my own picture taken at the end. So we'd finished filming, it was like day 5, and someone else was taking my picture. I was like, wait, no one told me about this. What? I can provide you with a headshot. They're like, oh no, we're going to take it. I'm like, okay, day 5 of filming, everything else. And then the next thing, and then it disappeared. So they took the photos and I never saw any of them. The one time when I saw this photo come out was on the day of launch, when it went out with me and 4 other photographers to the world. And I was like, well, here's an exercise in letting go of control, Hannah, because there was nothing I could do about it. I'm like, wow, so this is going out on this massive platform. There's all this noise being made about it because it's something new. And there's going to be a photo that I have not had control over that is going to go out to the world. Sometimes a few of those exercises need to happen to make you just go, do you know what? It is what it is. Yeah. Let go. That's your face.
That's your face.
That's it.
Oh, that's amazing. And we're gonna we need to talk a bit about gear as well. I don't know if you're like a big gearhead, or you follow like all the trends, all the new products that come out and stuff like that. But like I can imagine, like working with Profoto, you get like a lot of new equipment.
Yes.
But if say you have your like gearbox that like that's your kind of like workstations, the stuff that you usually work with, like what kind of like, I don't know, like what do you see in new products that sort of like makes you want to purchase them? Do you do that often, or is it like do you have like a list of what you need and a list of what you want?
Yeah.
Or do you like find your gear and then that's it? Like I don't really want to.
Well, it's weird.
Look into it.
It's funny because I say that I'm not a gearhead in some respects, because I don't really care about the latest this and the latest that. I'm like, I've got my tool, it works for me, this is fine. Now, with your role within, say for instance, Sony, my role with Sony being and I said to them at the start, I'm like, listen guys, I'm not sure you want me to be an ambassador, because if you want someone that is going to know everything in the menu here and care about it, that ain't me. And they're like, no, we want you here because of how you use it. We're not, because of course the thing that fascinates me is, of course, if we have me and a sports photographer and all these different people that use the camera in such different ways, there's some kind of focusing mode for one person that the other person is never going to touch. It's almost like they can do so much stuff these days. It would be impossible to, I mean, it would be possible, but it's like Photoshop. A million different ways to get to the same outcome. So I'm not into, I'm not like that obsessive about every single thing that it can do. I'm like, what can it do that's going to make things better for me? What's the point in this? And I'm almost like there to challenge them a little bit. I think our roles as ambassadors or wherever it is not to just go along and just, because everyone thinks that you're paid a salary and you're given free kit and all of this. That's not how Sony work. No. Definitely not in the UK. You don't get paid and you don't get free kit. So you have to buy your own kit. And I was like, what kind of deal is this, guys? Yeah. But actually, I sort of understand it in the sense that they don't, because of course, if I paid you, you would say and said, you need to say great things, well, you'd do it. So in a way, they're like, we want to use people that use the kit, love the kit, and that are doing it for their own reasons.
And are honest about it as well.
This is it. Yeah. And that's the thing I think they know with me, it's going to be honest. So this the R4 comes out. I'm like, I don't need that camera. I don't need that camera. I don't need those megapixels. This is me. I don't need it. I don't need it. I'm like, there's no reason. I'm like, okay, very nice. There's an upgrade ergonomically. There's things that are different, etc. I don't need this. I picked it up and I shot a file with it. And the thing is, actually shooting with it, it was nice. But I was like, well, this isn't enough to make me change.
Yeah, it's the same.
Exactly. And then I looked at the file and I was like, why did I do this? Because it was just something different. There was something in the way that image looked straight out of the camera. Because I don't do a lot of editing. I'm lazy. I try to get it as right in the camera as possible because I ain't got time to sit there faffing for ages. So that was one where I was like, oh man. But yeah, at the same time, I'm thinking, this is no good for when I'm doing 80 corporate headshots. The files are going to blow up my machine. Exactly. And it's not necessary. So it's like, it has a place for, if I'm doing, let's say, for instance, like maybe an album cover or an author or something like that, where it's kind of not going to be a high volume of images, but the ones that are going to be, you want all the detail there because you don't know where it's going to end up. It might be on a side of a bus somewhere or whatever. But for day-to-day corporate headshots, it is way in excess of what I need. Yeah. So therefore, I'm going to step down and take myself out of the R series to have a camera that will be just perfect for, knocking out the corporate headshots. And then I've got this other one. It's finding the right tool for the job.
Exactly.
I think with Profoto, I'm in a very fortunate position. I've been working with them for a good few years now. I'm way more into lighting than I am into cameras. That's the thing. But ultimately as well, if you understand light, you should be able to use literally anything to be able to create light. It's just that the way that it's designed and the way it's manufactured, the way it works, the light shaping tools, it allows you, it's like having, I describe it as like ingredients for a recipe. You can pick out what you want based on what you want to create. And I think I've been in a fortunate position there where I've seen equipment that's coming ahead of time. But then it's not like I'm going to rush out to buy it. There's some things that I've even used. I've been given to use for a while that then I've returned that I don't necessarily own because I have no use for it, for me personally. It's great as a product, but it's not what I need in my workflow. So I'm definitely not one of these people that's like, I must have literally everything that exists, because there's enough that, if I don't need it, if I'm not going to use it, there's no point. I always say that I'm an entrepreneur first and a photographer second, because I sort of run the business side of things. So the business part of my brain is going, why am I working my ass off? You're trying to make all of this money and do all this stuff. If then I go and blow it on a load of gear that's going to sit in the back room, that doesn't make business sense to me. So, and I know if you're in a fortunate position and you're able to go and buy all this kit, wonderful.
But that's what I mean, like the kind of like, I've always done that as well. I made a list of all the stuff that I want.
Yes.
And then all the stuff that I need.
Yes, very good
point. I always
point.
get the stuff that I need first.
Absolutely.
And then all the stuff that I want, I can get if I can.
Definitely.
But like, I just have to constrain myself
with
getting all the stuff that I need.
I think if you use it in such a way as well, where it's like you make it pay for itself.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly.
Like that's another thing. So I
always think about that as well. Like, can I make money off of having this gear? Is very important as well.
Exactly.
I'm always fascinated with stuff that makes my backpack lighter, though.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like whatever makes my backpack lighter, I'm a fan of.
I am so here for that. And that's actually a huge reason why I switched over to mirrorless in the first place. Exactly. Because I thought I hated mirrorless. I tried different systems. I was like, I can never get on with this. I hate it. Blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, at the end, I was like, wow, you know what? Like, I can fit 2 lights and my camera and 3 lenses in one bag.
Exactly.
Like, what's not to love about that? It's really changed things, and I agree with you. Anything to make it lighter.
Yeah, and especially like if you're on like public transport and stuff like that.
Yes.
Like if you have one backpack,
it's still lethal.
but it's just so much easier instead of just like
with a wheelie case and all of that as well. But it's so true. I'm often, that's my life. I'm backpack on. I mean, I have a studio, but if I'm doing corporate
you have
shoots,
to be there. Yeah.
You have to go there.
Yeah.
So pretty much most of the time I've got sort of 2 light stands on my side, which you've got to be very careful of on the tube in London. Take a few eyes out. But better that. There's you in your backpack and not everything else, and holding a backdrop under your arm. No, thank you.
That's one of the reasons why I've been like lately very fascinated about like how people do editing on their iPad now as well.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. And like an iPad is so much lighter than a laptop.
On an iPad? Wow.
Yeah, an iPad Pro, and then that's it. That's the only thing they use.
Oh, that's interesting because I kind of, that's funny now is I use one of those Wacom tablets, and like I'm so bad with a mouse now.
Exactly.
Like the idea of being on an iPad is kind of like all sorts of disaster for me.
Yeah, and you have that pen as well.
Oh, right. So you can use the pen straight on the, see, this is why I'm not a gearhead, right? Because I don't even know this exists.
But there's a lot of like, especially like people who work with video as well. Mm-hmm. Like they do like use an iPad Pro for video editing.
It really?
Yeah.
So I thought that...
I really want to look into that as well. And especially now that you have like portable hard drives that have like an SD card reader built into the hard drive as well.
What?
And it's Wi-Fi connected. Like it all works seamlessly together.
Okay, I'm way behind on all this.
You have to check it out. It's a good tip. Like I want to like do that. Like I'm going to sell my laptop in January.
Really?
And then get rid of it. And then maybe just get an iPad Pro.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So I need to look into this because... That's amazing.
Absolutely. Especially with pictures as well, because the files, like that's been the problem before, like working with video on like mobile devices. It's just the file sizes are too big and stuff like that. Like the workflow, it takes a lot of power. But like the new tablets are just so amazing.
Really?
Like especially if you film everything in HD.
Right.
It's fine, yeah. It works.
So a question about that then, because here's me that doesn't know anything about video, but all this, I'm seeing that there's kind of like, 4K, 8K, all of this kind of stuff. Is there any point in doing that? I suppose it comes down to the output, I suppose, isn't it?
100%,
where it's going to be used.
Always depends on where you put it out.
Right.
Like you can have people who sort of like say like if you film it in 4K and like scale it down to HD, like there's a difference in like quality.
Right.
But when you export it and upload it on YouTube, who cares? Like nobody sees the difference there.
This is it. That's
but like the one thing that I use it for a lot is reframing it afterwards.
See, I haven't got a clue what you mean by that.
No, but you can crop in.
Oh my god!
Without losing quality.
Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
So
then,
you
right?
take a wide frame, and then you have two angles basically.
Right. So it's just the same as having the resolution, and you copy in a bit.
Exactly.
I see what you're saying. So in a way, you've already got it there in the first place, but then you can crop into that for HD.
So I use 4K very specifically to like only if I know that I need it.
Right.
Because it only like makes your post production like harder.
Right. This is it exactly. This is the thing. Sometimes it's like just because it can do these things, do you need it to?
Don't need to always.
Like
we have a camera now that shoots 6K.
Oh my gosh!
Like this one shoots 6K, but we don't. We're shooting in HD now.
Right. Good.
Like,
hopefully less resolution the better.
Exactly.
But no, that's it. Exactly. It's it all comes down to ultimately what do you need to use it for and that output, I think. Otherwise, all that's going to happen is you're going to start to, take up, you're just eating, all this memory and, making your computer blow up and, it's crazy. Crazy.
Right. We could talk for hours, I guess, but we have to wrap up because you got to do your workshop.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
We have like a specific thing that we have we always finish off with some weekly recommendations to people.
Okay.
Like recommend whatever, like if it's like a product or an Instagram feed or like a YouTube channel or whatever it is that you want to recommend to people, you can. It can be basically anything.
Basically anything. That's
basically anything. Like advice to anyone, like some tips.
So, okay. So I guess then going back to what we were talking about before when you were saying, try it, stick a roll of film in your camera.
Yeah.
I think sort of personal projects is a huge thing because, and I am so guilty of doing this too, that I don't get time to do it. But the trouble is 95% of our work, most of the time, if you're doing this professionally, you are working for a client and it's someone else's brief. So a lot of the work that you are producing is to their guidelines and everything that they want. And I think sometimes it's very easy sometimes to lose your own creativity within that. You forget about the ideas that you have. And, I struggle now. People say, well, what inspires you? Actually, random things inspire me, but a lot of my inspiration now comes from these amazing TV dramas and TV shows because I look at how it's lit and it's done so beautifully. I'm like, this is shot and like every frame is beautiful the way it's been done. That actually inspires me more now than just sort of like you go through Instagram and it's kind of you get desensitized. You're like, it's just images. It's like nothing really like gets you. Maybe it's me. I'm finding like things are maybe it's harder for things to impress me in some way. I don't know.
You take like 3 seconds and then move on. Yeah.
Right. This is it. It just kind of goes and goes and goes. But I think if you can do something or create, shoot for yourself, make a project, do something that's a little different to what you have to do every day. And I'm guilty. I know everyone's going to go, yeah, great, make time to do it. Yeah. It is very, very difficult when you're working for other clients. I totally understand that, totally get that. But if you can, and this is like I'm saying this to myself too, if you can make time to shoot for yourself and do a personal project, that's when maybe you'll take everything to the next level because you'll try something and go, you know what, actually, that's something that I'm going to bring into my workflow because that works really well for me. And you haven't got any pressure of trying that on an existing client that's paying you money, etc.
No risk.
Yeah, exactly. No risk. So I would, it's very difficult. I do appreciate that. But where possible, I think if you can go and shoot for yourself, do a personal project or just a personal shoot once a month, something like that, where you can really sort of try something different, find inspiration from somewhere and, see if you can recreate it yourself or, push yourself a little bit more. That's probably it because there's not really, I wish I had the time to be more active to follow specific, people or things and to give a recommendation for a feed somewhere. But my life is just mental the whole time. Yeah. So it's a rarity that I get time to do that. It's a rarity I get time to sit and watch a TV drama. So when I do, I'm in it. Yeah, exactly, so that's the thing. I think
do a passionate project. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
that's where you develop. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. I think that's probably my recommendation for all of us, and just to try and do that every now and again because you never know what might come out of it too.
I would like to recommend like a TV show then, like that's beautifully lit as well, like the HBO Euphoria. Have you seen that show?
No.
It's amazing.
Euphoria, yeah. I'm on it.
It's absolutely amazing. It's like it's like a teenage drama, American drama. And it's very, like, the first thing I noticed about it was the lighting of it.
Oh, really?
It kind of like looks like a music video type thing, where it's like, it's very dramatic lights.
Oh,
like
good.
Always like backlit with like amazing colors.
Ooh.
And the soundtrack is amazing as well.
I like that too.
It's absolutely amazing.
Oh, awesome. I'm going to check that out because
it's such a good drama series.
I love that.
100%.
Brilliant. Because that's the thing is that I think sometimes we forget that that is a huge source of inspiration. It's all the things that you consume within the things that you watch as well. Perhaps it might not be conscious inspiration as well. You might not be watching a show thinking this is inspiring me. You might not think that at all, but actually afterwards, like you say, if there's if that stood out to you, where you're like, oh, the colours are great, this is that,
amazing,
it might end up coming into your work somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, you definitely should. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, Hannah, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
This was amazing. Yeah,
great fun.
Really inspirational.
Thank you.
And make sure to follow us on all the social medias and see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.